Hello and welcome everyone to another episode. Yes, so not everything's in orbit yet. There are still many other things that need to get into orbit. The one thing I gotta mention to you guys right now is I have been like completely lacking in telling you guys this, and I feel bad because there are a few people who have submitted already, and I've been kind of just, they're like, when are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? I'm like, just hold on a minute. Jeez. Just give me a break. My God. No, with the subscriber submissions, definitely, if you have something that you want me to fly, submit something, and I will, even Dauge agrees, and I think he even has something to submit. Maybe I will submit whatever Dauge does. But, yeah, definitely just send me something. If you feel free to, I am not forcing you to, but feel free to send me whatever it is. If you want to see me fly it, or, if you have, like, a mission or something you want me to do with a specific rocket. And how come I don't see where I have to go? I'm, like, orbiting around in a circle right now, trying to find the node that I just set up, but I don't see it. Probably because it was right there the whole time. And that makes perfect sense. But yeah, so I definitely, I got a few things, a few craft right now saved up, but I have been trying to hit like my magic number, and I'm thinking about going forth anyways and just doing the video, but definitely, if you got something you want to see me fly or whatever, just shoot it on over, and I'll definitely, you'll definitely get the credit for whatever it is you built and all that other good stuff. But yeah, so I have I have gotten a question. I don't have a question. I have gotten a question about the Steam box, I believe it is. And I know there's a lot of hate with Steam, and I don't know why, but yeah, so I don't really know a lot about the Steam box. I am like a console collector, and I do follow video games pretty intensely compared to most people, but I tend to care more about the retro side of gaming, if it would be called retro gaming. Well, it's called retro gaming now, but I generally care more about, the Nintendo and, PlayStations, the old ones, and, the Ataris and televisions and stuff like that. I really enjoy, I could listen to somebody talk about these kinds of things for hours, and, but when it comes down to the Steam box, I don't know a lot about it. I know that it's going to be running off Linux or something along those lines. I'm not 100% sure, so I don't want anyone to be like, "Ooh, well, you don't know anything about it," because of course I don't. But, with the one thing I will say with Steam is they always have been very innovative compared to anybody else in the gaming genre, and they have really brought together a really strong community, and they've really promoted the idea of games, which I am 100% behind them. And they've also done things that have sort of kind of improved gaming over the years compared to how it used to be. Like with Nintendo, let's say, you would go out and let's say you saw, I don't know, one game in the store, so you would buy the cart, and you would go home, and the game would be abysmal, just the absolute worst thing you've ever played in your entire life. There was no way to get your money back. That's it. Like, you're done. And, if you spent, as a kid, growing up in the 90s, and you had to spend $50 on a game, and then you just have your dreams crushed by the fact that your game was just, the game that you just got sold was horrible. Hold on, I'm going to switch craft, so just give me a second. So yeah, definitely, with the 90s being the way they were with a lot of gaming, and even up until a certain point, Doggy tends to agree with me, always, because Doggy knows that I am right, always. I think he's... yeah. So, they have reduced a lot of things like pirating, and a lot of people don't really see it, but, you know, in the 90s you would buy your cartridge of whatever game that you would buy, and if you spent $50 or $60 on the... usually a cartridge was like $50, and sometimes the game just wasn't good, and you know, you would buy a game, spend all your allowance on this game, and it was just a dud. And there was nothing you could do to get your money back, and people would be upset, people would be mad, and you know, there would be... this is, I think, where the idea of piracy really came from, other than that, or just developers charging absurd amounts of money for software that really shouldn't be costing you that much money, and it's just because of the fact that they have a monopoly on that specific genre. I'm not even talking about games, but you know, specific softwares and stuff like that, where, you know, in the early... with the early versions of Windows being pirated and a lot of things being pirated, just because of the fact that it was either an absurd amount of money and people didn't want to pay it, or they just couldn't get their hands on it. But I think Steam has really kind of changed that as far as a lot of their games. You don't really see a lot of piracy kind of happening as much as I guess it used to be. I really don't know with the piracy, you know, how everything is. I don't condone it, but I understand why people do it. But that is a totally different subject if you'd want me to talk about that. But it looks like this thing is lined up pretty close. I'm going to switch back to Craft, so I'm going to pick up on the Steam once we get over there. Yes, we're back on the Steam box. So the Steam box itself, with Steam in the Steam box, the one thing I will say that is probably going to be very innovative and awesome is, you know, the fact that they're going to probably make games be available to more people and make it a little bit more open. Now, I don't really like this casual gaming scene that really has taken hold ever since. You know, I think it's really started since the beginning with smartphones and the availability of putting and playing games like no matter where you're at. Some people say it started with like Game Boys and, you know, a lot of the portable gaming systems and stuff like that that came out, you know, the Lynx and the Jaguar, or what is it? I think it's the Lynx, and, you know, just about every system has its own portable version, and I really think it kind of started with smartphones, and that's when it really kind of took hold. I mean, most notably the iPhone, which I don't really care for in any kind of way, but that's once again a different story. I really think it started there, and, you know, I think with Steam always being innovative and really trying to work and bring games to the masses, I really think Steam is probably one of the best platforms for gaming, and it's been a very big part of the community ever since it was added. With the ability to just update your games and things like that, and being able to buy games online instead of having to go to a store and buy a physical copy. Now, physical copies mean something to me. I really enjoy being able to have a physical copy in my hands of a game. But certain things I could just kind of not care about. Like, you know, Kerbal Space Program obviously is not a physical game. There probably never will be a physical game for it. It'll probably only be strictly download, but who knows. But with Steam too, there's a lot of people that, oh, it's laced with DRM and blah blah, it's so bad, and DRM, I hate DRM, and they know what games you're playing, and this and that. When you're buying any game console as it is already, a game console basically is DRM. It's DRM in a box. You're paying for a box of DRM. If you can understand that in any kind of way, you're buying a specific piece of electronics that only takes a specific kind of electronic device plugged into it in order to play and do things with that specific system. I cannot play my Nintendo games on my PlayStation because they don't accept each other. That's DRM. That's DRM right there as it is. You cannot interchange them. It's not like a CD player or a DVD player where I can walk up to any DVD player, pop in one of my DVDs, and instantly watch the movie. It just doesn't work that way. It's not like you can buy only specifically Panasonic DVDs and they only work in Panasonic players. With game systems themselves, like, a lot of people fight over DRM, and I understand that DRM is kind of I don't like using this term specifically, but it's kind of more of like a cancer growing on the gaming community as it is, because I don't see DRM helping anybody in any kind of way. The only thing I see DRM doing is treating the actual consumer like a felon. And I don't think that is the way gaming should go, or how you should treat a customer in any kind of way. To tell them that they can only play a game with internet connection, and if you don't have one, then you can't play your games, that is not right. That is not right beyond many, many different reasons, and a lot of you guys know that. I'm okay with the idea of having to enter in some code or some specific thing and when I buy my game, because of the fact that, it kind of locks out one whole specific part of the community from being able to play it. I do know that there are ways around that. I do know that there are ways around a lot of DRM. I know that most of the DRM that exists, there are always workarounds for it. It's kind of like the iPhone saying that the fingerprint scanner was going to be uncrackable and, everything else, and Dowgate just loves to bark today. And there's always a way around it with electronics. You can always, if there's one thing I will say with humans in general, if there's a will, there's a way. And there always is. And no matter what it is that you buy, whatever it is that you do, there's always a way to work around the system. So let's see. We're pretty well lined up. That's all I can say. So let's get in close. But the idea of DRM and a lot of people crying about DRM, I can agree with you on certain aspects of it, but not everything. I just don't agree with certain things. Now, the other specific part of DRM is like being able to only install it X amount of times. I feel like that is completely useless. It's just about as bad as the being online always, and being able, always having to basically be connected to an internet connection in order to play your game. I find that just as bad, because of the fact that if I buy my game, I should be able to install it as many times as I want to without somebody saying, hey, well, you can't install it more than 3 times, otherwise you gotta buy a whole brand new version of the game. I patronized your company. I gave you my physical money for your game. Do not abuse me. A lot of people will say the same exact thing, and I always say this as well. They'll say either think with your wallet or vote with your wallet. If you don't like a company because of specific things that they do, do not support their games, do not buy their games, do not do anything to help them in any kind of way. Steam, on the other hand, I totally am okay with a lot of the things that they do, and I do know that they have the 3 download policy with certain games, but that goes with the developer, not Steam. It's not Steam that's specifically supporting that. They're just the platform. That's all they do. So, yeah, Steambox, I'm pretty sure it's going to be awesome. I don't know if I'm going to buy one. Maybe, maybe not. I generally wait, like every other console that's come out in the past 10 or 12 years now. I generally wait until the price comes down a bit, and then I consider buying one. My PlayStation 3, I bought it about a year after PlayStation came out, and I bought it from somebody off of Craigslist, and I paid I think about $270 for it. So I got the original PlayStation with the touch buttons and the all the cool stuff that they kind of taken off of the system, and it's now on the newer models. It's all really cheap plastic, and just I don't like the way the new PlayStations look, put it that way. So, but that's kind of where I sit on that. So, I really do hope that the Steam box takes off. I really hope that it doesn't sit in development forever and it doesn't get anywhere. But, the DRM thing is the one thing that I just really am... I just get really, really scared about it, because I feel like the future is going to be nothing but DRM-laced software and vaporware, and basically you're gonna buy a game, and it's already kind of starting to happen, which is the sad part. A lot of games, you're starting to buy them now, and it's basically an unfinished product out of the box, and you're talking a AAA developer. We're not talking about Kerbal Space Program and Squad Team here. So, I can understand with Kerbal Space Program, I'm not buying a complete game, but I have the reassurance that when I bought the game that it wasn't complete, and people telling me along with the actual developers telling me that the game's not complete yet. So that enough gives me a reason to not complain, because the game's not done. But if I'm buying from a AAA developer, I expect substance. I expect something good. I don't expect Kerbal Space Program development from a AAA developer. And I don't mean, once again, I'm not talking about Kerbal Space Program or the developers in a bad way when I say that. It's just, they're an indie developer, whereas a AAA developer has hundreds of thousands of dollars and manpower behind them to be able to fix and understand and really work with their markets. It's not acceptable by me if they have a game like that comes out and it's just complete garbage. And it really makes me wonder how many years are going to go by before they realize that if you have hundreds of thousands of dollars and manpower behind you, how are you supposed to release a game that's incomplete or just complete garbage? And it just really makes me wonder what goes through their heads and how they think that treating their audience is such a good thing, or this is such a good thing to do, or how this is supposedly going to help them, and it really only rips off their customers, and it only just berates their customers, and it really kind of just pains me to see gaming going down the drain as far as this DRM, incomplete games being released from these major publishers. Or the DLC that gets released on day one of the game release, which is basically stating, we put this in the game, but then we just took it out at the last minute and decided to charge you an extra $10, so instead of paying $60, you have to pay $70 for the same stuff that you would have otherwise already have gotten. So that's where I sit on that. And I know this hasn't been the most eventful episodes. This right here, both of these that I just got into orbit, I didn't know if I was going to be able to do it, but these are both going to be the connectors for both of the Duna station and the Duna land base and the Ike land base. So anyways, guys, let me know what you guys think about it. Maybe I'll respond back with some other stuff, but yeah. So anyways, guys, If you haven't checked out my featured person at the end of the video, go ahead and do that. It's on at the very end of my video. Definitely go and check them out. Good stuff. Definitely check out, if you got something to submit for subscriber submissions, let me know. And, yeah, I will see you next time.